Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Nick Games, and today we're going to be going over the level 70 Affliction Warlock build that I've been playing on single target. And overall, I think Affliction's pretty decent. It's really rough to play with low haste values, in my opinion. It's very clunky. You're not really drain souling much, but the good news about Affliction is you can do most of your damage on the move as long as you applied your UA and your haunt pre-move. So technically, out of all the specs, in my opinion, I think for pure single target, Affliction will definitely be the best, especially on high movement fights. And yeah, let's get into it. I'll show you the build and the damage it does, and the rotation and playstyle. Alright, so here's the build that I'm running. I'm running GOS. I'm not playing with the pet, so there's no point in taking Grimoire of Synergy. Basically, I'm just gonna give a quick rundown of all the spells real quick for anyone that may be new or doesn't know what certain spells or icons look like. I'm running the default given spell, Malefic Rapture. I'm running UA, Nightfall, Shadow Embrace, Drain Soul, Harvester of Souls, Savian Teachings, Rhythm Agony, Phantom Singularity, Grimoire of Sacrifice, Siphon Life, Soul Swap. This talent could probably go somewhere else useful. The only problem is that in order to make this build, you have to put Soul Swap here, because you need to get this in order to unlock these nodes as well. So Soul Swap is basically kind of useless. You can use it at the start of a pool. It speeds up your ramp up time, as I'll show you here in a second. I take Withering Bolt. Drain Soul does increase damage per dot, up to 3 dots. Summon Dark Glare to extend dots. Haunt. Seize Vitality, increases Haunt damage, a little bit of healing back whenever Haunt falls off. Haunted Soul. Big damage increase for your dots. Tormented Crescendo. Whenever you do get a chance to actually channel your Drained Soul and you don't have to worry about moving, this is good because you can build up to 2 stacks of this. This actually holds 2 stacks. And you can cast Malefic Rapture instantly without a cast time. Actually makes running around a little easier, especially if you have all of your dots up and you're trying to get some big Raptures out beforehand. We're taking Soul Tap. This is not used as much as you think it is. It used to be used a lot before the increased Soul Leech usage. Before it was 5%, so you could use it almost 2 times more. We're taking Pandemic Invocation. This is okay, but honestly, it's not that good. It has a chance to give you a Soul Shard, so that's a benefit. But other than that, I think this talent's kind of lackluster, but you kind of have to take it anyways. Taking Malefic Affliction. Basically, when you do triple Rapture, your UA on the current target, as long as it's on the current target that it was on when you started Rapturing, the UA will do up to 10% more damage, up to 30%. And then we'll be taking Dread Touch. Basically, whenever you use Rapture after 3 times on the target with your UA, it'll basically make it to where the target that you Rapture again with the UA on it that's taking 3 stacks will now instead take 20% additional damage from your damage over time effects for 6 seconds. So basically, the hardest part about this build is keeping up all your dots. Your UA is most important, and then keeping up your Dread Touch throughout the fight, right? Other than that, the only nodes over here that I would say are mandatory for damage is Wrathful Minion, Demonic Inspiration, Soul Conduit, and Inquisitor's Gaze. Now, let's get into the rotation and what the damage looks like. Alright, so we're going to look at the damage. I was thinking about using actually this Raider's Training Dummy, considering it takes less damage than this Training Dummy right here. But the problem is that I would be cheesing execute damage, and that's not very realistic in a fight, so we're just going to go ahead and use this Training Dummy for testing purposes. The damage may be a little bit higher, it may look a little stronger than usual, but basically I'm just trying to give you the rotation, the feel, and like the sense of how the gameplay for Affliction is. Alright, so we're going to get into it. What you're going to want to do is, at the start of the pool, on pre-pool, you're going to want to Soul Tap and get up to 5 shards, right? You're going to Haunt to UA, to Agony, to Corruption, and to Siphon Life, and to Phantom Singularity. I like to get Shadowy and Brace stacks before popping cooldowns, and then you just spam Rapture. Just get all of your Raptures out, reapply Haunt here. I'm going to reapply my dots a little bit. I'm going to do a couple of Drained Souls. Okay, reapply Agony here. I'm going to reapply UA. Reapply Corruption, reapply Siphon Life. We're going to do a rotation of about 2 minutes just to get another Dark Glare, just to show you how it is, how it feels. Basically, just keep up your dots. Not really much to the spec. Your dots are basically doing most of your damage for you. Okay, we're going to PS here. Try to get as many Raptures as we can in with the PS window. Get as much damage from Rapture as possible. We're getting very unlucky with the procs here, it seems, but it's okay. Make sure we're keeping up Dread Touch. Got a proc there. Reapply Siphon Life, Corruption, reapply UA here, reapply Agony as well. Gonna Drain Soul, gonna Haunt, gonna Soul Tap a couple of times. Okay, reapply Corruption here, reapply Siphon Life. Okay, for the next Phantom Singularity, we're actually going to send it. You don't hold it, there's no point. You'll just hold Dark Glare a little bit later on, and you can use it then. Dark Glare is not really that useful anymore, so holding your PS for Dark Glare is not really optional. It's more you just send it on cooldown, unless you know, for example, like on a fight, there's a lot of mobs coming out and you want to have that PS up. Like for example, with like the Faded Affix currently on live, you want your PS up to basically have all the damage going and stuff. That's fine. But on pure single target, if there's no ads coming up, you just want to make sure that you have everything on cooldown. Okay, I'm saving up my shards here. Gonna get Dread Touch going. Okay, I'm gonna pop Dark Glare. Rapture. I'm gonna Soul Tap here, get some more Raptures going. Okay, reapply our dots. Some are starting to fall off here. Reapply Haunt. And Soul. We got 2 stacks of free Raptures. Double Rapture here. Okay. Reapply Corruption. Reapply Siphon Life. Agony. Gonna re-haunt here. Drain Soul. Loading up some stacks. I'm gonna Soul Tap here. We're gonna use our 3-minute Trinkets with our big damage here. Okay, we're gonna Phantom Singularity. I'm gonna pop a Trinket here. Going to send all of my shards out. Make sure we keep reapplying dots in between. Nothing's falling off here. Okay, I'm gonna Drain Soul. UA's about to fall off, so we're gonna reapply that at the last second. I'm gonna reapply Siphon Life. Agony. Need to get Dread Touch back on. Okay, we got Dread Touch. Dread Touch is falling off now. We're gonna reapply it. And that is basically the build. Just keep up your dots, your Dread Touch, your UA, and Haunt, and cycle your Rapture windows in between your PSs, which is Phantom Singularity, and just send it on cooldown. Don't need to save it for Dark Glare. You can send Dark Glare with your PS if you want. Dark Glare is not really that important anymore, like I said, so whatever you want to do, it's up to you. Now, this is the damage output without Grimoire Sacrifice. I'm going to do a quick test real quick. We'll do like a Dark Glare burn with GOS up and yeah. Alright. So build your Soul Taps up. Waiting a second. Okay. We're going to Haunt, UA, Agony, Corruption, Siphon Life, Phantom Singularity, Dark Glare. I'm going to Drain to get my Shadowy Embrace stacks up. We got Dread Touch coming here soon. Dread Touch should be applied now. Dread Touch is up. Okay. I'm going to Drain Soul. Drain soul again. Our darts are falling off. Just reapply them one at a time. Red touch is down. We're gonna reapply it here. Okay. Gonna haunt. Redrain soul. GOS does do quite a bit of damage. So yes, me not using it was trolling. But overall, I just wanted to show you how the dots feel, how the damage profile looks, and you know, just the overall feel of the class, right? Okay, so we're gonna go into our Rapture window here with PS. Gonna soul tap a couple of times. There we go. Drain soul, reapply our dots, reapply haunt, agony, Prolific Rapture to get up Dread Touch, drain soul. I'm gonna soul tap a couple of times. Dread Touch reapply. We're gonna keep going until I have my Dark Glare up with my 3-minute cooldown. And then after that we'll stop and I'll show you my gear and what I think about Affliction and yeah. We can also go over the stat priority as well. I'm gonna hold PS for now. A little distracted trying to talk about the build, so I'm just gonna hold it. Nice thing about this build is you can keep up Dread Touch with Calamitous Crescendo if you're at least slightly lucky. There's not a lot of RNG baked into it, but there is a little bit. Hey, I'm gonna soul tap, I'm gonna PS, I'm gonna Dark Glare extend, and I'm going to pump here. I'm going to big raptures. We're cranking, doing tons of damage here. I'm gonna re-haunt, reapply my taunts here. Okay, soul tap a couple of times. Mythic Rapture. Affliction is sustaining some pretty good numbers. It's not bad. I think all of the specs are doing pretty similar damage. And I'm excited to see what Dragonflight will look like. But let's look at the breakdown. Mythic Rapture is doing most of the damage, as per usual. UA is very close behind. Very, very close behind. Agony is also close behind. Dots are actually doing damage in Dragonflight. It's crazy, right? Grimoire Sacrifice does a lot of damage. If you test out the actual pet build, like using a pet and like using Grimoire Synergy, I honestly think Grimoire Sacrifice is better. I don't think running a pet in Grimoire Synergy is better than GOS. I think GOS is BIS for ST, just because it procs so much, because you have so many damage over time effects happening, and yeah, like it's crazy. There is a trinket that I think will be BIS for Affliction in pure single target. Not AoE, not 2 targets, not 3 targets, pure single target. And that trinket is Soul Seeking Arrow. Currently, it's doing about 5 to 9% of your damage, depending on RNG. There was one test that I did where it was doing about 9.6%. The dot was just like refreshing and just restacking, like it was crazy. Siphon Life does okay damage. Corruption doing okay damage. Drain Soul doing pretty decent damage. The only thing that sucks on this training dummy is I can't show you all the execute value of Drain Soul. So just imagine, you know, I'm doing about 48k, but with Drain Soul, you know, execute, I'm doubling that damage. So like in execute, I'm basically doubling this. I'm doing about 8k with Drain Soul instead. So overall, you're probably doing about 52, 53k single target, no buffs, no nothing. I am using a potion, and I am using a file, and I have a food buff. But other than that, that's it. Alright. So, a couple things I want to talk about before we end this video is this trinket. Furious Rage Feather. This trinket feels really good. It is literally a very simplistic trinket. Doesn't take much skill to use or like to understand like what it does. Basically, it has a low proc chance. At least that's what it's supposed to be, right? But the uptime for this was 40%. And for a trinket itself, that seems very, very strong. Especially a trinket that you never have to worry about, right? So, and like when you're on the move and like you have your dots rolling, like this trinket just adds to extra damage. Because let's be honest, any raid encounter that you run into, you're gonna have to move. There's gonna be mechanics. You're not just gonna be able to stand still and just AFK, press buttons. Like there's no way that happens, right? And then the Iridius Fragment. I understand that some people may be like, like why are you running this trinket? And I'm gonna be honest. One, it gives a shit ton of mastery. Mastery is amplifying our dots, right? That's basically all of our damage, right? And it's also increasing Malefic Rapture, okay? So it's all of our dots and our spender. So basically, mastery right there, boom, big damn, okay? The on use, really, really strong. There is one tip that I will tell you, though. When you run this trinket, do not pop it until you pop your Dark Glare. Do not use it on pull and then apply your dots. It loses value per spell that you cast. So if you do run this trinket in live, or whenever Dragonflight is released, definitely just macro it to your Dark Glare and never use it outside of that. If you're gonna get another use of Dark Glare and this together in a fight, definitely synergize them together. It's really good because the dot extension from Dark Glare makes it to where you don't have to reapply your dots. So all of the intellect damage amp is going straight into your Malefic Rapture, or it's going straight into your Drained Soul, and who knows, the Drained Soul could be going on your Execute, so your Drained Soul is just cranking massive damage, right? Because you have this 4,737 intellect, you know, just like sitting there, and your dots are ticking, your Dark Glare is extending your dots, so the intellect is just sitting there, it's not falling, it's not reducing in stacks, it's just a very, very solid trinket overall. Furious Rage Feather, definitely probably best for pure single target. Now that may be subject to change. This trinket over here, depending on how long the fight is. Let me see. Spiteful Storm. This trinket, also not too bad. But this trinket, any type of fight where it's like really short, maybe like 4 to 6 minutes, I still think the Rage Feather trinket will definitely outscale it. But any like in-game fight, maybe the last boss, you know, anything that's around 9 to 12 minutes, Spiteful Storm could be crazy. This trinket definitely scales off of fights that last longer, and for that, maybe it's useful. Maybe it's BIS. Who knows? But for now, on normal and heroic weeks, try to grab yourself a Rage Feather, and then when you're going into raid and you're trying to crank a single target, the trinket will definitely give you some oomph. As you can see right here, you know, it's doing almost 6% of my damage. It is 421 eye level, but still, I mean, if you nerf my eye level value and all of my gear down in my tier, pretty sure it's still gonna be doing about the same. And another thing, the stat prio for Affliction, as it always usually has been, is going to be haste to about 25 to 30%, and then basically full on mastery. Mastery is basically the most potent way to enhance your damage. As you can see, mastery, the potent afflictions, haha, you know, I'm just making a joke, but no, 25 to 30% haste. After that, probably full on mastery. Crit eventually gains some power, but you have to have some pretty high mastery and pretty decent haste before crit actually becomes viable. Stay away from versatility. If you have to have it on your gear, sure. Especially if the gear is giving you like more int overall, or if it's just like massively huge in eye level. But overall, I would say haste and mastery on everything as much as possible. Crit later on in the tier, maybe at like in game, like very, very late on, like 420 eye level plus. Versatility, stay away from it. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I will answer them as soon as I can. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you to everyone that has liked all my videos, that has thrown a sub. Love you guys. Let's try to get me to 500 subs, and I will see you guys later. Peace.